News of the battle spread across the galaxy like fire in dry grass. Every species, every world, every station heard the same unbelievable story. The humans had won. The Hollow Fleet, the terror that had eaten civilizations for 10,000 years, had been broken by a species that had only been in space for 3 centuries. In the Great Hall of the Galactic Assembly, the same beings who had laughed at Admiral Park now sat in stunned silence. "This must be wrong," the Valkyrie Chancellor said. His crystal body flickered with confused light. "The humans have no such weapons. Our intelligence report said they were primitive." "Your intelligence was wrong," the Morok Trade Lord replied. His voice was no longer amused. "Very, very wrong." The Eldari ambassador said nothing. She simply stared at the battle recordings that played on the main screen. She watched human ships tear through the Hollow Fleet like predators through prey. She watched human soldiers fight with a fury she had not seen in 1,000 years. For the first time in a very long time, she felt something she had forgotten existed. Fear. The Hollow Fleet did not accept defeat easily. Over the following weeks they sent more ships. Thousands of them. Entire hive fleets that had consumed dozens of species converged on human space from all directions. It did not matter. Admiral Park Doan commanded the defense from the bridge of Taijo's Resolve. He had not slept more than 4 hours a night since the war began. His hair had gone completely white, but his mind was sharp and his orders were perfect. "Third Fleet, move to Sector 7, he commanded. Fourth Fleet, support the colony defenses at New Bazan, Sentinel Group, with me. We are going to hit their supply lines." Captain Han Yuna fought beside him in every battle. She had become famous across the fleet. Soldiers called her the Ghost because she could appear anywhere on the battlefield without warning. She led strike teams that destroyed hollow breeding grounds, cutting off the enemy's ability to make more ships. She never forgot why she was fighting. Every night, before she slept, she looked at a picture of her brother. He had died in the first hollow attack. She had promised him that she would make them pay. She was keeping that promise. On the ground, the war was just as fierce. The Hollow Fleet landed invasion forces on several human colonies, hoping to capture resources and people to add to their numbers. They found that humans were very difficult to capture on Inchin Colony. A young soldier named Private Bong Gina held a defensive line for 18 hours. Her mech suit was damaged. Her ammunition was running low. Most of her squad was dead or wounded. But she did not run. "Come on," she shouted at the waves of hollow creatures rushing toward her position. "Come on, I am still standing." When reinforcements finally arrived, they found her surrounded by hundreds of dead enemies. Her suit had stopped working 6 hours before. She had been fighting with nothing but her rifle and her bare hands. She became a hero. But when reporters asked her about it later, she just shrugged. "I was scared," she admitted. "I thought I was going to die. But my grandmother always told me that being brave does not mean you are not scared. It means you keep fighting anyway." Another hero emerged on Colony Sejong 9, chief engineer. Moon Woo was trapped when the Hollow Fleet landed a carrier right on top of the main city. There was no way to fight something that big from the ground. So he thought of another way. Moon Woo made his way to the colony's fusion reactor. It was old and damaged from the fighting, but it still had power. He rigged it to explode, setting a timer that would give the civilians time to escape through underground tunnels. Then he waited. When the hollow carrier moved directly over the reactor to begin its harvest, Moon Woo pressed the button. The explosion could be seen from space. The carrier was completely destroyed. Somehow, against all logic, Moon Woo survived. He had hidden in a tiny maintenance pod that was blown clear of the blast. When rescue teams found him 3 days later, floating in space with almost no air left, he was unconscious but alive. He woke up in a hospital bed to find Admiral Park himself standing over him. "You are either the bravest man I have ever met," Park said, "or the craziest." Moon Woo smiled weakly. "Can I not be both, sir?" The galaxy watched all of this happen. They watched humans fight with weapons no one had ever seen. They watched humans sacrifice themselves for each other without hesitation. They watched a species that had been mocked as children prove itself to be something far more dangerous. The Valkyrie sent a private message to Earth, asking if perhaps there had been some misunderstanding at the council meeting. Earth did not respond. The Morak offered trade deals at very favorable rates. Earth did not respond. Finally, Director Cho Yunji broadcast a message to the entire galaxy. Her face was calm, her voice steady. For 300 years, humanity asked for friendship. We asked for respect. We asked to be treated as equals. You laughed at us. You called us children. You told us we would be forgotten. She paused. We did not want this war. But we will finish it. And when it is over, the galaxy will remember our name. The broadcast ended. In the assembly hall, no one was laughing anymore. Deep beneath Mount Baekdu, in a bunker carved from solid rock 3 kilometers below the surface, Director Cho Yunji received the message she had spent 40 years hoping would never come. She was a small woman with short gray hair and calm eyes. She had served Earth's defense forces since she was 20 years old. She had seen wars, plagues, and disasters. She had built this bunker and everything in it with her own hands and mind. And now, sitting alone in her office, she read the words on her screen 3 times before she believed them. Omega. Black. Authorization confirmed. She closed her eyes and took one deep breath. Then she opened them and pressed the button on her desk. Lieutenant Baek Sung-ho. Come to my office, now. 30 seconds later, a young man with a serious face stepped through the door. He saw the look in her eyes and understood immediately. It is time? He asked. It is time, she confirmed. Begin the awakening. Within 1 hour, the message spread across all of human space. It traveled at faster than light speeds through relay stations that the public did not know existed. It reached military bases on Earth, on Luna, on Mars, on dozens of colony worlds scattered across the stars, and everywhere it went, things began to change. On Earth, factories that had been making cars and televisions went silent. Workers were sent home. New workers arrived, workers who had been trained in secret for years, waiting for this moment. The machines were changed. The programs were switched. By morning, those same factories were making weapons. In orbit around Earth, old ships that had been listed as broken and useless suddenly came alive. Their systems powered up. Their engines glowed. Crews that had been hiding as civilians put on uniforms they had kept hidden in closets and reported for duty. On Mars, Sergeant Onari was walking her patrol route when the alert reached her communicator. She was a young woman with a round face and strong arms. She had joined the military because she wanted to protect people. She had never seen real combat. She watched in amazement as the colony around her transformed. Walls that had looked like ordinary buildings slid open to reveal weapon systems. The ground in the central plaza cracked and separated, and a massive defense cannon rose from below. Ships she had never seen before launched from hidden bays in the mountains. Her commander, Major Yoon Ji-ho, gathered all the soldiers together. I know you have questions, he said. His voice was steady. For years you have been told that Earth's military is small and weak, that we have no real power compared to the great species of the galaxy. This was a lie. He paused to let the words sink in. Earth has been preparing for this day since the first alien ship was spotted in our skies. We knew that the galaxy would not accept us. We knew that someday we would have to fight alone. So we built, in secret, in silence. We built weapons and ships and defenses that no one knows about. Until now. Oh, Nari felt her heart beating fast. She thought of her family back on Earth. She thought of the friends she had lost when the Hollow Fleet attacked Colony Sejong 4. She tightened her grip on her rifle. The galaxy thinks we are children, Major Yoon continued. They think we are harmless because we chose to be peaceful. Today they learn the truth. Peaceful and harmless are not the same thing. Far away, in the clouds of Jupiter, something else was waking up. Dr. Kim Tae-ho stood at his control station, watching data scroll across his screens. He was a thin man with messy hair and tired eyes. He had not slept properly in 15 years. He had given his entire life to one project. The Sentinels, hidden within Jupiter's Great Red Spot, protected by the planet's massive storms, 17 enormous ships had been waiting. Each one was 15 kilometers long. Each one carried weapons that the rest of the galaxy had. Sod were impossible to build. The galaxy was wrong. The first Sentinel emerged from the clouds like a monster rising from the sea. Its hull was black and covered with strange patterns that seemed to move when you looked at them. Weapons that had no name yet pointed in all directions. Engines that bent space itself began to glow with pale blue light. Dr. Kim watched it rise and felt tears on his face. "Beautiful," he whispered. "After all these years, beautiful." One by one, the other Sentinels followed. 17 ships that would change everything. 17 ships built from stolen technology, captured alien parts, and pure human stubbornness. Back in her bunker, Director Cho received the reports. All systems were online. All units were ready. The awakening was complete. She opened a channel to Admiral Park, still on his way home from the Galactic Assembly. "Admiral," she said, "Operation Omega Black is fully active. All assets are ready for your command." On the screen, Park's face was tired, but his eyes were sharp. "Good," he said. "The Hollow Fleet will come soon. They think we are easy targets." He paused. "Let them come. Let them see what happens when you corner a species that has spent its entire history fighting to survive." Director Cho nodded. "Earth stands ready, sir." She ended the call and looked at the map on her wall. It showed all of human space, all the colonies, all the ships, all the hidden weapons now coming to life. "They laughed at us," she said softly to herself. "They will not laugh for long." The Hollow Fleet came on the third day. 700 ships tore through the fabric of space. Above Colony Day and 7, they were horrible to look at. Each ship was a twisted mix of metal and flesh, covered with eyes and mouths that opened and closed without reason. They moved like living things, hungry and mindless. They had destroyed a dozen species before finding humanity. They expected this to be easy. Captain Kang Hyan stood on the bridge of the Iron Dawn and watched them come. He was a big man with a shaved head and hands like stones. He had waited his entire career for this moment. The Iron Dawn was one of the 17 Sentinels. It hung in space like a sleeping giant, dark and silent. Around it, the rest of the human fleet waited. 200 ships of all sizes, all carrying weapons that had never been tested in real battle. Until now. "Sir," his weapons officer reported, "the Hollow Fleet is entering attack formation. They have not detected our full numbers yet." Kang Hyan smiled. "Good, let them get closer." The hollow ships rushed forward. Their hulls pulsed with sick light. Signals that might have been screams or might have been laughter echoed through all frequencies. They had learned that fear was a weapon, and they used it well. It did not work on Kang Hyan. "All ships," he said calmly into his communicator. "This is Captain Kang of the Iron Dawn. Today we show the galaxy what humanity can do. Today we fight not just for ourselves, but for every species that has ever been told they were too weak to matter." He paused. "Light them up." The battle began. The Iron Dawn's main weapons were called Nova Lances. They fired concentrated beams of antimatter so powerful that they could cut through almost anything. The first beam struck the lead hollow ship and went through it like a hot knife through paper. The ship exploded into a cloud of burning flesh and melting metal. Then everything happened at once. Human ships surged forward from hiding places behind asteroids and moons. Missiles filled the space between fleets like angry swarms of bees. The Hollow Fleet tried to respond, but they were not ready. They had never fought anything like this. A hollow carrier, big enough to hold a small city inside its body, turned toward the Iron Dawn. Its surface crawled with weapons that grew from its flesh like tumors. It fired a wave of acid that could melt through any normal hull. The Iron Dawn's shields caught the acid and turned it into harmless light. "Return fire." Kang Hyan ordered. The carrier died in 3 seconds. But the battle was not just happening in space. Teams of human marines were boarding the hollow ships. cutting their way inside to destroy them from within. Corporal Liera was on one of those teams. She was a small woman, but she moved like water and hit like thunder. Her squad cut through the outer hull of a hollow destroyer and dropped into its dark insides. The inside of a hollow ship was a nightmare. Walls of wet flesh pulsed around them. The floor was soft and warm. Sounds like breathing came from everywhere and nowhere. In the distance, something screamed. One of her squad members, a young man named Ji Yu-Guan, was shaking. "This is insane," he whispered. "How do we fight this?" Liera put her hand on his shoulder. "We fight the same way humans have always fought," she said. "One step at a time. One enemy at a time. Stay close to me." They moved deeper into the ship. Strange creatures came at them from the shadows. Things with too many legs and too many teeth. Things that had once been people from other worlds, changed into monsters. Liera did not hesitate. Her plasma cutter burned through them. Her rifle dropped them before they could get close. When one of them grabbed her arm, she headbutted it and then shot it point blank. "You are scary," she told the dying thing. "But I grew up on Earth. Everything on my planet tries to kill us. You're just one more thing on the list." They reached the ship's core, a pulsing mass of tissue that controlled everything. Liera planted her explosives and led her team out behind them. The destroyer tore itself apart. The battle lasted 47 minutes. When it was over, only 12 hollow ships escaped. The rest were debris. Kang Hyan looked at the damage reports. Humanity had lost 32 ships and about 4,000 people. It was a heavy cost. Every death hurt, but the Hollow Fleet had lost almost 700 ships. Their first major defeat in 10,000 years. Captain Han Yuna's voice came through the communicator from another ship. "Captain Kang, Admiral Park sends his congratulations. The galaxy is already talking about what happened here." Kang Hyan nodded slowly. He thought about the council members who had laughed at Admiral Park. He thought about the alien ambassador who had said humanity would be forgotten. "Let them talk," he said. "This was just the beginning. The Hollow Fleet will send more ships. And when they do, we will be ready." He looked out at the stars, now filled with the burning remains of his enemies. Humanity does not forget. And humanity does not lose. Not when it matters. The Great Hall of the Galactic Assembly was the largest structure Admiral Park Doan had ever seen. It floated in space like a giant flower made of metal and light. Ships from 100 different worlds came and went through its many ports. Inside, beings that humans had only dreamed about sat in seats that curved around a central platform like the inside of a bowl. Park stood on that platform now, feeling very small. He was a tall man with gray hair and a face that showed many years of hard service. Behind him stood his team of 5 officers, all wearing the dark blue uniform of Earth's space fleet. Captain Han Yuna stood closest to him. She was younger, with sharp eyes and short black hair. Her hands were steady, but Park could see the tension in her jaw. They had traveled for 3 weeks to reach this place. Earth's leaders had sent them with one mission: ask for help. The Hollow Fleet had come to human space 6 months ago. No one knew where they came from or what they wanted. They were not a species that could be talked to. They were machines mixed with flesh, ships that ate other ships and turned the people inside into more of themselves. They had already destroyed 4 human colonies. Millions of people were dead or worse. Earth could not fight them alone. The Hollow Fleet was too big, too strange, too powerful. So humanity had come to beg. Park cleared his throat and spoke into the translator device on his collar. His words would reach every being in the chamber. "Honored members of the Galactic Assembly," he began. "I am Admiral Park Doan of the United Earth Fleet. I come to you today not with pride, but with need. A great enemy has entered our space. The Hollow Fleet has killed millions of our people. We ask for your help. We ask for ships, weapons, anything you can spare. In return, we offer our friendship, our trade, our loyalty." He stopped and waited. For a long moment there was silence. Then, from somewhere high above, came a sound that Park did not expect. Laughter. It started with the Velthari delegation. They were tall beings made of something like living crystal. Their bodies caught the light and threw it in all directions. The sound they made was like glass breaking over and over. Soon others joined them. The Morak, fat amphibian creatures who controlled most of the galaxy's trade, made wet, bubbling sounds of amusement. Even the ancient Eldari, being so old they had forgotten more history than humanity had ever made, smiled their thin smiles. "You wish us to defend you?" The Velthari High Chancellor rose from his seat. His voice was cold and sharp. "Your species has been traveling among the stars for barely 300 years. You are children, infants. You have not earned the right to ask anything of this council." Park felt his face grow hot, but he kept his voice calm. "We are not asking for charity. We will pay any price. We will sign any treaty. What could you possibly offer us?" The Morak trade lord leaned forward, his large eyes blinking slowly. "Your technology is primitive. Your resources are limited. Your worlds are few. The Hollow Fleet is your problem, human. Perhaps if your kind had spent less time fighting each other, you would be better prepared." Captain Han Yuna stepped forward. "With respect, we have silence." The Eldari ambassador raised one long, pale hand. She was ancient beyond counting, her face smooth and without expression. "The young one wishes to speak." "How charming." She looked at Park with eyes that held no warmth. "Admiral, let me give you wisdom that your short-lived species has not had time to learn. The galaxy is vast. Species rise and fall like waves on a shore. Most are forgotten within 1,000 years. Humanity will be one of these. The Hollow Fleet is simply nature taking its course. The weak are consumed. The strong survive. This is the way of things." Park stood very still. He could feel Han Yuna trembling with anger beside him. Lieutenant Commander Shin Mera, their communications officer, had gone pale. "You will not help us," Park said. "It was not a question." "We will not," the Velthari Chancellor confirmed. "Go home, human. Enjoy what time you have left. The galaxy will continue without you." More laughter filled the chamber. Park bowed his head slightly. "I understand," he said quietly. "Thank you for your time." He turned and walked out of the chamber. His officers followed. No one spoke until they were back aboard their ship. The Tejo's resolve. Once the airlock closed behind them, Han Yuna slammed her fist against the wall. "They laughed at us. They sat there and laughed while our people are dying." "I know," Park said. "What do we do now?" Shin Myra asked. Her voice was shaking. "If they won't help us, if no one will help us, ... Park walked slowly to the main viewport. Outside, the Galactic Assembly glittered like a jewel against the black of space, beautiful, ancient, cruel. "Shin Myra," he said, "open a channel to Earth Command." "Authorization code, Omega Black." The bridge went silent. Everyone knew what Omega Black meant. It was the code that was never supposed to be used. The final option. The last door. "Sir," Shin Myra whispered, "are you certain?" Park did not look away from the viewport. "They called us children," he said. "They think we are weak because we asked for help. Because we tried peace first." He paused. "They are about to learn that humans do not ask twice." He finally turned to face his crew. His eyes were hard. "Send the message. It is time to show the galaxy what our children have been building while they were laughing at us." The war ended in 3 months. The Hollow Fleet had ruled the dark spaces between stars for 10,000 years. They had consumed entire civilizations. They had been called unstoppable, inevitable, eternal. But they had never faced anything like humanity. Their final stronghold was a system at the edge of the galaxy, hidden behind clouds of dust and radiation. This was where their central hive mind lived, the great intelligence that controlled all their ships and creatures. It had existed since before most current species had evolved. It had never known defeat. It was about to learn. Admiral Park Doan led the assault personally. All 17 Sentinels flew together for the first time, surrounded by hundreds of smaller ships. It was the largest fleet humanity had ever assembled. The Hollow Fleet threw everything they had left at them. Thousands of ships. Millions of creatures. Weapons that could crack planets. They fought with the desperate fury of something that knew it was dying. It was not enough. The battle lasted 12 hours. Human ships fell. Human soldiers died. Captain Kang Hyun took a direct hit to his bridge and lost his left arm. Corporal Lee Era was nearly killed when a hollow creature almost tore through her suit. 3 of the Sentinels were destroyed completely. Their crews lost to the void, but humanity kept pushing forward. In the final hour, Admiral Park led a boarding team into the heart of the hive mind itself. It was a structure the size of a moon, pulsing with alien life. Inside, the walls whispered with voices from 1,000 consumed species. Park walked through corridors of flesh and bone, his rifle ready, his team behind him. Captain Han Yuna was at his side, as always. They found the core in a chamber that seemed to go on forever. It was a mass of tissue and light, connected to everything the Hollow Fleet had ever been. And it spoke. "You cannot destroy me," it said. Its voice was made of screams. "I have existed for 10,000 years. I have eaten civilizations older than your sun. I'm forever." Park looked at it calmly. "Nothing is forever," he said. He raised his hand and gave the order. His team planted their explosives. The hive mind screamed and begged and threatened. It offered power, knowledge, anything. Park did not listen. The explosion was visible from 3 star systems away. When the light faded, the Hollow Fleet was finished. Ships that had been moving stopped dead, their guiding intelligence gone. Creatures that had been fighting fell silent and still. 10,000 years of terror ended in a single flash. Admiral Park planted the flag of United Earth in the ruins of the chamber. Blue and green, the colors of home. Han Yuna took a picture. Neither of them smiled. There was no joy in this victory. Only relief. Only exhaustion. Only the weight of too many lost friends. 2 weeks later, Admiral Park walked into the Galactic Assembly uninvited. The guards tried to stop him, but they took one look at his face and stepped aside. He walked to the central platform, the same place where he had begged for help 3 months ago. The chamber was silent. Every species was represented. Every eye was watching. 3 months ago, Park began, I stood in this room and asked for your help. My people were dying. The Hollow Fleet was destroying everything we had built. And you laughed. He paused to look around the chamber. The Velthari Chancellor could not meet his eyes. The Morak Trade Lord was sweating. The Eldari ambassador sat perfectly still, her ancient face unreadable. You called us children, Park continued. You said we were weak. You said the galaxy would forget us within 1,000 years. He shook his head slowly. You were wrong. He took a step forward. We did not come here for revenge. That is not who we are. Humanity has done terrible things in its history. We know what revenge leads to. We know the cost of hatred. Another pause. But we also know the cost of contempt. We know what it feels like to be dismissed, ignored, left to die. Behind him, Captain Han Yuna and a dozen other officers stood in perfect formation. They wore their medals and their scars with equal pride. We offer you now what you refused to give us: friendship, trade, partnership. We will help defend your worlds. We will share our technology. We will work beside you as equals. Park's voice hardened. But remember this. Earth does not forget. And if any species, any council, any empire ever again treats humanity as lesser, if anyone ever again believes they can mock us or abandon us to death, remember what happened to the Hollow Fleet. He turned and walked out of the chamber. No one tried to stop him. No one said a word. In the months that followed, everything changed. The Velthari requested human military advisors. The Morak opened their markets to human traders. The Eldari, humbled for the first time in millennia, began studying human history, trying to understand how such a young species had done what ancient civilizations could not. Sergeant Nari returned to her colony on Mars and helped rebuild what the war had damaged. She was promoted to lieutenant and given command of a new defense station. Private Bongjina went home to Incheon and found that her grandmother was still alive, still strong. They sat together and drank tea and did not talk about the war. Dr. Kim Taiho returned to his laboratory and began working on new projects. The Sentinels had proven what was possible. Now it was time to dream bigger. Director Cho Yoonji finally allowed herself to rest. She had given 40 years to preparing for the worst. Now she could think about the future. And Admiral Park Do-eun stood on the bridge of Taizhou's Resolve, looking out at the stars. Captain Han Yuna joined him. "What happens now, sir?" she asked. Park was quiet for a long moment. He thought about everything they had lost. The friends, the ships, the colonies that would never be rebuilt. He thought about the council members who had laughed, and the ones who were now asking for friendship. "Now," he said slowly, "we teach the galaxy what humanity has always known." "What is that, sir?" Park smiled just a little. "That survival is not about being the strongest. It is about never giving up. It is about getting up every time you fall down. It is about fighting for each other, even when there is no hope." He turned to look at her. "The galaxy thought we were children. They forgot that children grow up." Han Yuna nodded. She looked at the stars, the same stars that had once seemed so hostile and cold. They did not look that way anymore. "They look like opportunity now," she said. "Yes," Park agreed. "They do." He put his hands behind his back and stood tall. Humanity had arrived, and the galaxy would never forget.